no bickering, no bitching, no moaning, no fighting, you want to have a great big companion party, this is for you. Hundreds of people have asked how to do that over the last 10 years. How do I get up companions that are all just like love each other to death? I can show you how to do that. It's piece cake. So if you guys want to, you know, learn to change this stuff, start playing with it. And that's how I started 10 years ago. I wanted to change Colradia into a more historical world. Warband asked me the other day on Twitch, I think it was on Sunday or Friday during the live stream, you know, what tools do I use? So let's take a look at the ladies, right? Yes, we did. So now we see the face change that we just did. Now, these are the dresses that I put on the ladies. Okay. And so the daughter, we changed the daughter too, right? Daughter looks kick-ass. How about that? See that right there? Parisno. Parisno coming up. Coming up. Mikader. I can't wait to play Mikader's mod. I'm freaking excited. And there's days where I can't get out of bed. Okay? Like a lot of the last month. Thank you for understanding. Thanks for listening. Thank you for becoming aware. And thank you for becoming an MS warrior. So that when you encounter other people who do have MS in your walk through life, I hope you remember, I know this guy named Daryl. We call him Warlord, and he lives up in Pennsylvania in Gettysburg. And he told me all about MS, and so I do kind of understand what you're going through right now. Even though we look fine, what's going on in here is the Twilight Zone being run over by a bus. So that's it. Me, I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm still actually surviving, getting by all right. And I haven't even been sacrificed by Mayans, but that day may come. See that? They love me. Look at that. They kill for me. They die for me. They sacrifice their horses for me. Gosh, and I would die for every one of these guys too. So rock and roll. You guys remember the scene from Apocalypto? And thanks for listening to my legs. Good afternoon, my friends. Let's do some quick modding. A lot of you guys over the last 7-8 months that I've been on Twitch have asked me about what tools I use or how do I do these little quick mods that I do. And our friend Warband, the official Warband, asked me the other day, I think it was on Sunday, I was streaming, and he asked me what tools I use. So I want to share, I was just modding 16th century mod, and so I thought I would share a little bit of what I'm doing with you guys. And I'm starting to feel better today. The last 4 days has probably been the second sickest week of the year. And so my dizziness is starting to go away. And so when my dizziness is starting to go away, you might see me get out of my wheelchair and go sit on the couch. But the past couple of days, I'm not moving from this chair unless I have to get out of it to go to the bathroom or get out of it to go to bed. So that's my norm. But I'm doing a little better today. If you were in my body right now, you'd probably call an ambulance. Everybody should try multiple sclerosis at least once. But that's a quick health check, just checking in with that. So what am I looking at? What am I doing? Okay, what am I doing here? So I've got Save Game Editor open. This is at Mountain Blaze Save Game Editor. Everybody's been using this for like 10 years. I've been using this for like 10 years. Okay, so simple stuff. So what we're looking at here is all of our troops. All right, and I've got these ladies' faces that are much nicer than the faces of the ladies that are in the game. Right now I'm about to share with you what I'm changing in my Amazon Inca playthrough. So I'm working on the Western Hemisphere, and I'm making some changes to my own liking that I would better prefer for my own personal playthrough. And so I like these ladies' faces better than the ladies' faces that are on the Incan, Mayan, and Aztec women currently. Currently, I'm not a real fan of the faces that are being used for the indigenous and native tribes of the Western Hemisphere. So I like these ladies' faces better. So I want to put these ladies' faces on my ladies' faces in my kingdom. So they look like this, okay? So that's what I'm doing, real quick stuff. Now this guy, all right? So this guy here. All right, this guy's in Africa, but he's wearing chainmail. Okay, so you see, I can go in, I can change his armor, I can change the way he looks, I can borrow their faces, I can put them on other characters, etc., etc. And so that's what I'm doing. All right, so what I've done is, let's say we are at, I think, Lady Aris, right? I think so. So probably her. Let's see if they changed her name. No name change there. I am looking at Lady Aris. I need another mother, and she should be Kingdom 3, Lady 16. So how do I find Lady Aris so that I can get her facial code? Okay, so we're on Lady Selena. We did Lady Kusi. We got her face. So I have the code for Lady Selenia. It's right here. All right. So that's her face. That's what makes up her facial structure, her hair, etc., etc., and her skin. So the different choices that you make when you're creating your character, that's what generates those numbers, is the hair, the skin, and the facial structure. Okay, so that's what those numbers are. And so that's the daughter that I'm going to use. This is the mother that I'm going to use, and I've got her numbers right there. And now we have Lady Aris. So we need to find Lady Aris and find out where her numbers are. All right. And so to do that, I'm going to open up Morg's Mountain Blade Editor. I'm going to open up my troops. You can find her that way. Okay. A quicker way to find her would be to open up your troops.csv in your modules folder. Do a search and look for her. Okay, and there she is. So she's Kingdom 3, Lady 16. So we're going to go to Kingdom 3, Lady 16. Lady Argus is actually Lady Aris. So in this troops file, this is her default name is Argus, just like in Vanilla Mountain Blade. But in the troops file, you can change the characters' names, the NPC names. And so the mod dev changed the name to Aris instead of Argus for his own game. So now that we have who she is, we've identified who she is, we can open up her face keys, and here's her face keys. And so these face keys make this face, okay? And so I want those numbers for the mother of my own kingdom because I like them better. She looks like an Incan mom, okay? So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And now the thing is, being disabled, sitting here sick all day for the last forever, I have plenty of time on my hands to do this. Now the thing is a year ago, about when COVID-19 began, my mind was much sharper. So multiple sclerosis and cog fog has made this tedious task much harder. I used to blow through this. I could mod a mod in an hour, and I mean hundreds of entries. I could just blow through them. I have a hard time doing that these days. One of the reasons that I could do that is I've been doing it for 10 years, since Britain Walda, since Vanilla Warband. I've been modding Vanilla Warband. Obviously, it's a little harder these days with MS. But we now have the mother's face. Awesome. So I want one more daughter. All right. So where's that? That's our Twitch screen right on. So we want the one more daughter. So I want Lady Ikram, because that's going to be our other daughter. All right. And I'm going to show you all this other stuff I modded as well, because I modded quite a bit. A little bit last night, and I modded some this morning when I woke up with sledgehammers just beating on my head. So I had like 3 days of absolutely no balance at all. Those 3 days, I'm in a wheelchair 100%. There's getting out of my wheelchair to go to the bathroom is dangerous. Okay, in case you just tuned in, I live alone. So Lady Ikram, let's find Lady Ikram's numbers. Edit, find Ikram. Let's IKRAM, that's it. Let's go down, and there she is. So she is Kingdom 23, Lady 13. And again, the modding that you guys are seeing, you like my friend Zug. Zug said, man, I wouldn't have any idea how to even begin. This is not, I'm not in the module system. I'm not compiling the mod system. I'm not compiling a mod system. I'm making some very simple little text changes. And I'll show you guys some of the, I'll show you guys what I've changed on this mod so far, because I'm doing a playthrough right now. We're in the first month. So Lady Ikram, Kingdom 23, Lady 13. So you guys who are real serious mod devs, like Makader, our friend Makader, who is the lead dev for Parisno, this stuff, he does this stuff in his sleep. So he does that stuff with a snap of his fingers. And I used to do this too. And the stuff that he does is a lot more advanced than what I do. So if you guys ever need to know how to do simple little things like this, just ask me. I'd be glad to do it for you and then send you the files. I've done that for VJ, Yepsy, and I've done that for a few of you guys asked me to change things. And so I'm going to show you what I'm going to change. And so Kingdom 23, Lady 13. So let's go to Kingdom 23, Lady 13. And this is not something you learn overnight. This is years of me looking at these files meticulously, poring over them, learning where all of these entries are. And now, when I can remember it as best I can, I do know where almost every entry is in this entire module system, just from memory, because I've looked at it so much over the years. So Kingdom 23, Lady 13. And that's her, Lady Ikram, right there, right on. So we need her face keys. That's our joy, right? That's what we're looking for. Because I want my game to look the way I want it, and I admire the shit out of the work that these guys have done, but there's just changes for me that I guess you would call them pet peeves. So we have our daughters and mothers' faces. So now we are going to go down and we're going to change our ladies' faces. So that's our mom. How do we know it's the mom? We're going to look down at the slot. She has a spouse. Okay. Her spouse is 1022, and 1022 is one of our Incan lords. Okay. So that's how we know it's our mom. And how do we know this is the daughter? Now I've already fixed this. This was an incorrect entry. This entry here, she has a father and a mother. That's how we know she's a daughter. She's 16 years old. Okay, but this entry was incorrect. Her mother was herself. So she didn't have a mother. Now I corrected that entry so that her mother is this woman, Lady Borga. Okay. So now the relationships are corrected, because a lot of the relationships in this mod are not correct. The daughters are their own mothers. So I've changed those entries. I've corrected that. So that's the daughter, that's the mom. So let's get one mom's face in there. So we want to get rid of these faces because frankly I think they're kind of ugly. So let's start with the mom. And so we're going to do that. Piece of cake, right? It is a piece of cake. The reason I'm deleting those is because of my memory. It's because if I don't delete that, in 5 seconds, I'm not going to remember if I've already used those numbers or not. So now she's done, and now she's going to look like... Now she's going to look like her. So now I've changed the mom so that the mom looks like her. I've also put them in really cool dresses. So I'll show you. I've already changed their clothes. Okay. So she's done. And I just closed her, didn't I? Yeah, I did. And so I've already changed all of their outfits. So when you're looking at equipment items right here, you have their headdress, which she doesn't have one. She has her dress, and I changed their dresses to 716, which is actually it's Hawaiian costume, but it looks very Incan, Mayan, Aztec. I thought it was perfect for the wives. Frankly, I'm not a fan of the costumes that were used for the NPCs, and so that's why I'm changing them. And that's the kind of changes and little mods that I've done over the last years. But the thing is I do hundreds of them, like in one sitting. And mentally, a couple years ago, a year ago, I could do that in a snap of fingers. Overhauling an entire mod, going through hundreds of entries, is a pot of coffee, and I'm sitting here all day. And I don't mind doing it because the payoff, for me personally, is where I want my Warband world to be. Okay, and I'm always somebody who's geared a little towards historical accuracy. It's the reenactor in me, I guess. So in any event, we changed her dress. We've changed, this is all your character's equipments, okay, like first weapon, second weapon, third weapon, etc., etc. Shield, spear, you get it. All the way down to shoes and horses, okay, so they can have a horse there. So I changed their dresses to 716, and I'll show you the result. So she is solid. Okay, so what else do we have here? The other thing about using the Mountain Blade save game editor, it has a RAM issue with it, and it's actually the software. It's not your system. I suggest saving often, because you will sit here. You could sit here and work on this all day long, and then the sucker locks up on you. And so please save often. If you go from troops to factions to parties, okay, save before you close this drop-down menu. This locks up when you close the drop-down menu. It may lock up on us now. So she's solid, she's set, she's got her dress, she's got her new face. I may even go in and design all new faces, because the hair on the women, I would like them to have Inca, really cool, tall headdresses. Like they did, not headdresses, but the way they did their hair was like braided up, okay? And so I would like to find something in the game that's similar to that, and then redesign the ladies' faces from scratch. And so I might do that, because I'd prefer Inca Aztec hairstyle. So in any event, blah blah blah, let's go on to Lady Tuan. So Lady Tuan is the daughter, and so we want to just put the face key in there, just like we did, no problem. And next I'm going to show you guys how to mod your companions so that they never ever bitch about each other. See what I did right there? So they never ever bitch right there. That's MS. So they never ever bitch about each other, and they never leave. And so we're going to change that too. Because me, I played Vanilla Warband probably until Britain Walda came out, the Vikinger multiplayer mod came out, and then Viking Conquest. And I played the whole, figuring out which party members are going to get along with who and who aren't, and I've done all that. For my playthroughs these days, I would prefer to just have as many as companions as I can get, and not deal with spending money outfitting them and then they bail and I'm trying to figure out who is who, especially in a mod where it is a new challenge. It's a new challenge, but in a new mod where the characters look completely different and their dialogues are completely different, you still have to figure out who likes who and who doesn't. And am I sure that these characters are kosher enough where they're going to get along and I'm going to be able to have a 10 character stable companion party? I don't know. So let's make sure that we can have a 10 companion stable party. And so I'm going to change that so we can have all the companions we want. And so the daughter and the mother there are done, and so we are on Kingdom 30, Lady 3. Let's open these girls up right there so we don't space out and forget where we are. And so Maraz is the mom or the daughter? She is the mom because she has a spouse, and she is 49 years old. She looks like she's 68. She's at center number 181, which will give you her current location. And now I can change her location. I can send her to London. You also have your player relationship. That's not something I touch. I play games because they are a challenge. So in any event, you see where all this stuff is. It also has her reputation type, whether she's romantic or moral, or she's a tomboy, etc., etc. All right. So piece of cake. So this is the mom. So let's change the mom's face. We're almost done. So she will look like, and then we will go into the game. And I have some serious lag issues with this game from time to time, and I'm pretty certain I know what it is. A lot of times in Warband mods over the last 10 years, I've found texture inconsistencies where the textures are not optimized. And what I mean is you could be walking through a village, okay? And you're just walking through a village, you're going on a quest to kill the murderer or whatever, bring him some grain or something. And you're just walking by and there's a rock sitting there. There's just a little rock. It's insignificant. You're going to notice it maybe 1% of the time. So you have this little rock sitting there by a shack. The problem is the texture that's on the rock is gigantic. Okay, so I've poured through Britain Walda years ago, 1257 years ago, okay? And I've gone through a lot of those textures over the years, and I've optimized all of them where I made them an accurate size for the model, okay? So that you don't have, and then you'll see big buildings and castles that have these, you know, little 512 by 512 textures on them that just makes it look like shit, rather than a really big, beautiful, high-def, really nice texture on a really big building. So bottom line is a lot of the textures are just not the right size for the model. And so you're going through a village, and you ever take that turn and it kind of locks up on you for a second? It's because it's loading this gigantic texture that's probably going on a pebble. Okay, and so that, I'm pretty certain that's the lag issue that I'm having with this mod. And I haven't gone through the whole textures file and looked at all the dimensions and et cetera, but I may do that. One of the reasons is because this mod offers me something that I've always wanted to play, and that's the Western Hemisphere. The Incas, the Aztecs, the Mayans, the American Indians, fighting the Spanish and the English and the Dutch. Okay, the foreign, you know, invaders from across the sea. I love that, right? I want to kick Columbus out of Cuba. And so that would be fun, and that's what we're doing. And so the thing is that's why I'm actually taking the time to change this stuff, because I want to play this mod. But in order for me to have an enjoyable experience personally, I need to change some of these things. I've already overhauled the troop tree, and so I'll show you what I did to the Inca troop tree. So one daughter left to go. We can close that. That was one other that was another issue that I found, is that these Incan moms and daughters and husbands, okay, the Incan lords, they had relations with African and South African tribes. And so I changed that, where the Western Hemisphere, Aztecs, Incans, etc., have no familial relationships with anyone in Europe at all. These people shouldn't be related. That's how I want my game to be. And so I've already changed that. There were Incans that had uncles and relatives in Africa, and I'm like, what? And so anyway, I got rid of those relationships. And they're doing that. How mod devs do that is you have one lord and you have another lord, and what they do is they come up with a character that's a father that's non-existent, but yet the number is there, the entry, the sum is there, that you can link those two lords by a father that doesn't really exist. I hope that makes some kind of sense. In any event, let's finish this up. Last daughter, and then we are going to go to the Andes. Excellent. So we're done there. So the ladies are done. And before that locks up on us, let's save it. So you guys, this is Mountain Blade Save Game Editor, and it doesn't have a real steep learning curve. It's just figuring out where all the entries are. If you ever want to know where an entry is, ask me, because I probably know where it is, or I can find it in about 10 minutes if my MS isn't putting me in the Twilight Zone. Multiple sclerosis has been the twilight zone this last week. So we're done with our troop CSV. We are almost done with this. Let's close this here. Now what you guys can also do with your header right here, you can change your save game name. So I changed my name to Tupi, which is Incan for Jaguar. And I had it Inti, so we are going to change that. We'll change our character name. Okay, so that's got the date, etc., etc. You can change all this stuff in here, all right? So look at it. You've got your factions. Let's close those troops. I'm glad this hasn't locked up yet. You can change faction relations, okay? For example, this is the Mamluk Sultanate, all right? What are their relations with other kingdoms? They are at war with these two kingdoms. They're at war with that kingdom. They're at war with that kingdom. And they have friendly, positive relationships with these kingdoms, okay? And so you can modify wars and you can make wars static. Okay, so like in my Viking Conquest playthroughs, I make the wars between the Scandinavian states and the Anglo-Saxon, Welsh, and Irish states, I make them static so that those nations are permanently at war. It's a Viking invasion. And so I often do that, and that's how I do that. You guys asked me, how do you do that? So that those nations stay at war. And so I'll make them static. Blah, 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 party records. If I were to change a lord's name, okay, let's say I wanted to change Ishako. Ishako is a lord of the Kazakh Khanate because I'm playing a Kazakh Khanate. Now let's say I wanted to change his name, okay? Yeah, this is Count. Yeah, that's, yeah, the Count, and I'm going to be, I may indeed go through here and change their titles of nobility based on their culture rather than having Count, Viscount, Earl, Duke. We have the American Indian tribes are, you know, Duke, Red Cloud, and so for me that doesn't work. That's not good. And so I'm going to go in, at least for where I'm playing in the world, okay, the Western Hemisphere, the Americas, I'm going to change their titles of nobility. I've already started changing them. For the Incas are already done. The Incas will be done as of this video. So I'm changing them to like chief, okay, tribal elder, stuff like that, king, rather than duke, count, etc., etc. Those titles shouldn't be in Brazil, in the Amazon, or in Mexico, or Peru, etc., etc. So I'm changing those to what they should be. Ishako, for example, Kazakh Khanate, he should be a Khan, okay? I think it was Khan. The Khans were not the head honcho. The great Khans, or the Khan of the Horde, were the head honchos, but there were some other titles below Khan. Most familial tribal leaders of their own tribes, like you say you got 2 or 3 lords for your Khan of the Kazakh Khanate. These guys were called Khans, okay? And then there was a great Khan for that horde, the Blue Horde, okay? So I'm going to change those to the accurate titles of nobility, like say for Ishako. And so what was I saying with that? If I change it in here in the troops, okay, you can change his name and it's going to show up in your game when you interact with him. You can change him to Chief or, you know, Milk Lord or whatever. But the problem is when you see him on the map, okay, in the overland map, it's going to have his old name. So when you change a name in the troops, you also need to change it in the party records. So then you have to go in the party records and change his name for his overland map icon as well. Okay, so now you have towns, cities, villages, castles, etc., etc. And yep, I've looked through all this shit for years. So this is where you find your overland map name for Ishako, and you have to change his name in the parties as well, or it will not work. It won't show up. You have to change both entries. For any of you that go and change your lords' names, don't forget to change it in the party records as well, etc., etc., etc. What else did I want to change? I think that that's about it in here. That's what I wanted to do with that. I'm pretty sure. I usually keep a list. So we changed all the ladies' faces. We changed all the ladies' clothing. and we changed the ladies, or we changed the lords' titles and nobility to chief and king for the Incas. Okay, we changed all the ladies' dresses. We changed all the ladies' heads. I've also, I guess I'll just have to show you. We're going to have to jump in the game. Let's save that. Rock and roll. Groovy, groovy. Groovy gravy. Good deal. We're done there. You guys didn't know I had such a fancy pad, huh? What else do I have open? Nothing. So I'll try to get into the game and try to record and show you guys what I changed. I changed a few screens. So I'll show you the screens I changed. Enjoy the music. This is a long load. It's a long load. It takes a while for the game to load. It's got an absolute just shit ton of textures in it. Okay, so we're going to get in and I'm going to show you guys the stuff that I changed. And so now you guys have a really quick brief little peek into how I do these little mods. Warband asked me the other day on Twitch, I think it was on Sunday or Friday during the live stream, you know, what tools do I use? So I use all the basic tools like most people. Morgs, Mount Blade, Save Editor, something else, I can't think of what it is. And then, of course, I can pour through the text files. When you open up your mod folder and then the module folder itself of whatever module adventure that you're playing, 1257, Viking Conquest, whatever, going through all the text files, the module ini, all that stuff. I know where a lot of that stuff is too. So if you guys want to, you know, learn to change this stuff, start playing with it. And that's how I started 10 years ago. I wanted to change Colradia into a more historical world. And so I changed, this is 10 years ago, I changed all the names of the kingdoms to like Scotland, England, etc., etc. I started changing the all the uniforms and accoutrement loadouts for all of the characters and NPCs. And back then we were doing that just through the text files until Save Game Editor came out, Morgs came out, and that made life a lot easier. There's a newer editor out, and I've barely even played with it at all. I felt that it had a little bit of a weird learning curve, but I'm a little stubborn as well, where I'm so used to using the Save Game Editor, and I know where everything is in it, that I continue to use. If it's not broken, don't fix it. I'm stubborn, I guess. So, but the new editor, there's a newer editor, and a lot of people have only good things to say about it. So you may indeed want to try that out as well. So let's take a look at where we're at. Let's open up Tupi. Tupi is, I forget the name of the tribe. It starts with a Q, and they are still in Peru. And they are the descendants. They are the descendants of the Incas. And so Tupi is Old Inca, Ancient Inca for jaguar. I like that. Rock and roll. So we have our Inca knights here, and they're fighting at the Battle of Chicago. So let's take a look at, let's see if we don't get too much lag. So our lords here, we have our king, Selena. So I did not change his name on the, what I was just telling you guys about the parties, okay? I did not change their names on the overland map yet. And so what you're going to see here is Duke Raka, okay? Because we're on the overland map, you're looking at his overland icon. But when you look at his character, it says Chief Raka because I changed it in troops. Now, in order for us to see the name change when you're on the overland map, you have to change it also in parties. So change the name in both troops and parties, and then you have your mod. That's your tiny little mod. Now me, I'll do that 400 times with coffee before noon. I'll change the whole damn thing. And if I have to go that length where I'm changing all the names or all the women, okay, their ethnicities, I will go through Africa and I will change all the ethnicities and the faces and everything of all the women, dozens of them, so that they look African. They're wearing African clothes because that's why I want my game to look like. And so that's how you do that, is you have to change the parties on the overland map so that it says Duke Raka. We're going to change that to Chief Raka. You change that in parties. So let's take a look at the ladies, right? So Chief Raka, we just changed his wife and we changed his daughter. Yes, we did. So now we see the face change that we just did. Now, these are the dresses that I put on the ladies. I did not like the dresses that were on the Inca ladies. These are cool. I still want to change the hair. Okay? And so the daughter, we changed the daughter too, right? Daughter looks kick-ass. How about that? So now you also see, now before, when you looked at Lady Kina's character sheet here, okay, she did not have a mother, because the entry that we looked at was incorrect. She was her own mother, so this relationship wasn't showing up. The reason that she now has a mother is because we added her mother. Okay? The entry that was set for that relationship was incorrect. We just fixed it. So now Kina's her daughter, Gija's her mother, and Chief Raka is not related to some chainmail wearing sword wielding lord over in Africa. He has no relationships here except for his own family, his own tribe. So that's what we're doing. Incan Empire, Chief Yago. So Yago, let's take a look at his. We just changed this. All right, so doesn't she look like an Incan mom? Kick ass. Much better than the way she did look. Now she has a daughter. Okay, because we fixed it. It was broken. The entry was incorrect. Teba was her own mother. She was born unto herself. I don't know. Maybe that's an Incan mythology thing. But in any event, we fixed it with just those, changing those few little numbers. Okay, now am I going to go through the entire mod and fix all of them? Absolutely not. I'm going to fix the Americas because that's where I'm going to be playing. I'm not going to Africa. I'm not going to Italy or France for those freaking awesome crepes. Okay, so that's what we did. She looks awesome. Okay, Selena's got the good red Incan outfit. That's actually really got a really cool gold trim on it. Okay, I also, this top dog armor, I'll just show you what I did with the I hope I changed the troop accoutrement loadout. I may not have done that yet, and if we didn't, I'll show you how to do that. So if you guys want to change what your troops have in their inventories, I'll show you how to do that. And maybe also go through and I will show you how to modify the companions so that they all get along. That's important. A lot of people have asked, hundreds of people have asked how to do that over the last 10 years. How do I get up companions that are all just like love each other to death? I can show you how to do that. It's piece cake. So in any event, he's looking good. I remember seeing some color plates 30 years ago of Incan warriors when I was studying scientific illustration. I didn't stick with it. It wasn't for me. But color plates of warriors at stuff that you see in like Signal Squadron magazine, stuff like that. Color plates, historical color plates. I saw Incan warriors who were wearing clothing and stuff like this. But let's take a look at the troop tree. I'll show you guys what I did. So I changed the Inca troop tree. And so I also changed the names. Okay, so now we have Incan tribesmen. These are completely redone. So we have our Incan tribesmen. Now they have this loadout. He's got a torch, some rocks. He has a pretty basic Incan mace, some jabs, bamboo spear, some war darts. So, and the thing is, it's a mix. This isn't each of these troop types. None of them has a set accoutrement loadout except for the top tiers. So these guys could have a mix of this stuff, so they're a little mixed up. The armors, okay, they just worked for me. I could design something else, but I'm not going to take the time to do so. So what I did was I grabbed the furry Indian body off of the North American tribes and threw them on these troops. It's just fur and skin with a loincloth. I just watched Apocalypto last night. We all know that Mel Gibson is just absolutely historically accurate. And they were wearing loincloths, but they were mine as well. But any event, guys, so I changed the furry Indian body. I would love to find some slings, and I could not find slings in the weapon loadout. But I'm going to look again. I may have just missed it. But I want to give these tribesmen some slings. Stones are great. Stones are great. Actually, in this game, shit, it's like they will freaking take you out in a few hits. So that's our tribesmen. All right, so we got our scouts, some shields, bamboo spear, Incan mace, jabs. Good deal. We got our hunters, and hunters obviously cannot progress. They just have some different types of bows. I gave them a head cloth, mace, just basic stuff. And then our infantry did break up where you could choose to be an Inca warrior or you could choose to be an Inca noble. I expanded that so that it goes from scout to warrior to noble, rather than either choosing between warrior or noble from scout, which makes the troop tree end too quickly because I'm doing freelancer. Okay, so I wanted to have a tougher top tier troop because this Incan noble, this top tier troop, was like level 18 or something. His stats were terrible. So historically accurately, yeah, the Spanish and the Portuguese would roll in and just roll right over these guys. But I bumped up their agility, their pathfinding, a few things like that to make these guys a really decent troop. Yeah. So yeah, he's level 18. I mean, these guys are pretty weak. But in any event, I redesigned this. I gave them stuff that they should have. Okay, like an Incan a big Incan mace, sword, club, and that's really cool. And granted, these are Aztec shields, and there's another shield that I found in the item loadout that I want to use, so that these Incas don't have Aztec shields. Okay, because when we get on the battlefield, I want my troops to look different. If you guys ever notice in my playthroughs, I don't use the troop ID bobble thing above the heads. I can't stand that. It's ugly. Okay, over time, many of you, just like me, and many of you, we've learned to know what the enemy look like. And sometimes we're on the battlefield guessing, okay, is he one of ours? Well, when he comes at you with an axe, you know he's not one of yours. So in any event, because of that, I'm going to change the shields to 2 other shields that I found in the game. So then the Aztecs, the Mayans, and the Incas will have different shields. Now those are awesome shields. I freaking love them. This is an Inca general's hat, which is just kick-ass. That's really cool. So this is our top tier guy, and he's level 18, and that sucks. So I want to bump him up and make him like a level 26 top tier Huskarl type of character. Okay, and so that's what I'll eventually do. So our warriors got some good stuff, right? So I have changed this. This is different. I chose to make these guys a little more static and individual from the other troops in the troop tree. So when you see an Inca warrior, you know it's an Inca warrior. When you see an Inca noble, you know it's an Inca noble. There's no second guessing because the scout or the tribesman might be wearing the same thing as the noble. I got rid of all that. And so now all of these characters are absolutely there. Now the scouts and the hunters, well, you can identify them by the bows and the spears, etc., etc. And so that's what I did with that. All right, so I expanded that rather than making a fork in the road with the scout. The scout used to go to warrior and Inca noble. I changed that. I extended the troop tree. Simple stuff. And so I did that with... So how did I do that? How did I extend that troop tree? I opened up morgues. Make sure you check your module settings. You're in the right spot. All right, so I went to my troops, my troop editor. So here's all your troops for the mod. So here's our Incas. So here's our tribesmen. And right here, if you guys can see my cursor, right here is where you choose their upgrade path. Okay, here is where you choose what equipment loadout that this character has, the Inca tribesman. I can also change his name to whatever I want. Okay. Here's our scouts. I changed them to scout, etc., etc. I changed all of their equipment loadout. So the scout upgrades to footman, which is Inca warrior. Now, 6 hours ago, he would have upgraded to both Inca footman and Inca noble. I changed that. So now the scout upgrades to the warrior, and then the warrior upgrades to the noble. And like I said, here's all the equipment. If you want to add any equipment, here's your equipment box. You can change all their stats, all their stuff, and you'll see that a lot of times I go through here and I balance things out. What I mean is one of the things that I like to do, is go through all my weapons, okay? If you've ever played Sands of Faith, the Sands of Faith mod, one of my favorite things about the Sands of Faith mod, and I'm going to be playing that again this week, one of the things I like about the Sands of Faith mod, all the shields are equal. All the spears are equal, all the lances are equal, all the bows, crossbows, boots, armors, helmets, everything in the entire mod has the same number of hit points, the same number of restrictions if there are any. I don't think there are any restrictions for any of the weapons. There's no restrictions for any of the armors, no strength restrictions, etc., etc. Okay, the horses have no restrictions. All of the shields are, say, 50 hit points. All the spears are, say, a thrust of 36. All of them. Doesn't matter the nation, doesn't matter the culture. All the swords are a 35 swing damage. Okay, same piercing damage, etc., etc. That's what I like about a mod. Why? Because then that leaves it to the skill of the individual warrior rather than any warrior in the game having an edge because of a certain weapon which may or may not be correctly balanced, which we've all seen shit tons of non-balance over the last 10 years with whatever we played, starting with vanilla Warband. And so what I do in a lot of my mods, what I found incredibly enjoyable, okay, was with Sands of Faith mod, where that mod developer equalized everything. All the armors, all the weapons, equalized all of them. So there's no weapons from this culture or that culture that will give that culture or that kingdom or that troop type a unfair advantage. Okay? Let's give our warriors the same weapons, put them on the battlefield, best man wins. That's how I like my game. So I will likely go through, I've already started going through all of the weapons for at least the kingdoms that I'm going to be interacting with. And I changed all of the weapons and balanced them out so all the spears do the same amount of damage. All the swords, all the hatchets, all the shields have the same hit points. Okay, the same sizes. So there's no unfair advantages from any nation. Now granted, you got the Portuguese and you got the Spanish, they have muskets. Okay, but our troops will have a better archery skill, where their troops, the Spanish or Portuguese or the English or the Dutch, will have a better musketry skill. And of course muskets do like 80 damage, so you get hit by a musket, you're dead. So in any event, that's one of the things I'm doing, is I'm equalizing that stuff out. And as I'm recording this, I just got a follow on Twitch. Thank you so much. OX25E is now following. Gracias, senor. I think I've showed you guys what I wanted to show you, and I've been running my mouth for 54 minutes. And I know that you big mod devs out there are looking at the few little tiny things I just showed you guys. That's old hat, and that's old hat to all of us. I don't think I have the brain capacity to do an overhaul these days. But let's change the companions so they all get along. That'll be the last thing I show you for today, because I think that that's got to be the most asked question. That's got to be the most asked mod question that I have seen on the internet since Warband was released. I started playing Mountain Blade, the original, which was less than desirable, really. And then a couple of weeks later, Warband came out, and I fell in love with Warband. I've been playing it ever since. I played Warband almost daily for the last 10 years. And so, yeah, we're opening Mountain Blade save game editor again. Let's open up our save file. Back up your save file in whatever fashion you have. Back it up. You'll be glad you did. Don't be lazy. See that right there? Parisno. Parisno coming up. Coming up. Mikader. I can't wait to play Mikader's mod. I'm freaking excited because I see him working on it on his YouTube channel. Parisno. And it's bitchin'. Alright, so let's get these companions straight. If you are somebody who wants all of your companions to get along, no bickering, no bitching, no moaning, no fighting, you want to have a great big companion party, this is for you. So let's get right down to our companions, and here are all your troops. I'm looking for one in particular. Toughest bitch in the game. We all know who that is, right? Slave Crusher. There she is, right there. Let's see what Zarina's got. Let's see what her proficiencies are. Oh, 312. She's a tough bitch. Look at that. What's her attributes? 1821. Yeah, she's kicking ass. Right? Zarina. I've always wanted to marry Zarina. You can't marry her in this game. What a bummer. Okay, so here's our companions. Alright? Let's start with Juan Carlos. Either in Morgues, okay, or in your troops CSV, which is in your data folder within your nested in your module folder. You can change Juan Carlos's name to whatever you want. Just like I showed you before, you can change his face to whatever you want. Sometimes I've gone in, I've started a new game, I created a new character with a new face that I want for one of my companions, and then I take those numbers and I transfer them over to Juan Carlos, and I make Juan Carlos look however I want, just like I showed you with the ladies of the Inca Kingdom. Okay, Juan's equipment, etc., etc. Here's his armor. Now, if we want to see what that armor is, we can open up Morgues, go to our item editor, which you can edit any item in your mod that you want with this editor. Okay. So let's see what 523 is. Let's see what his armor is. What's he wearing? All right. Landsknecht A 523 is what he's got right there. So we know what it is. Body armor of 18, leg armor of 12, abundance. Its weight is 9 pounds and its cost is 360. So that's one way of finding out what that item is. 523. Here's his head, etc., etc. Does he have a horse? Doesn't look like it. So that's Juan Carlos. That's one of our companions. So what are we going to do about him and some other companion bitching and moaning about each other? All right. So if you want to see where Juan Carlos is, he's at 32. How do you find out what 32 is? Open up Morgues. Go to your parties. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's parties. So 32 is Venice. So Juan Carlos is in Venice. That's how you would find out what Juan Carlos is. So if you wanted to cheat and go and get Juan Carlos, now you know where he is. Or you could change that entry to a city near you and just go get him in an hour. Okay, so people often ask, how do I find my companions? That's one way of finding your companion. Now, I don't transfer them to a center near me. I actually go get them because that's part of the whole, that's part of the experience, you know? So he's got 4,500 coin. Our relationship with him is 0 because we have not met him yet. He has no family. Let's see where he's at. His reputation type is 10, and I actually have a list that I made for myself of the dispositions of every different reputation type. I've done that on my own over the years. So when I see a reputation type, I know if he's a dick or not. Okay, so his home, that's where he's from, 204. You can find out where 204 is by looking in Morgues, just like I showed you, and finding out where that number is. Town with contacts is number 23. Personality clash object, that's companion number 1 that he does not like. So we're going to take a -1, and this person that he does not like, he no longer has a problem with them. He has a personality clash with 724. Who does he have a personality clash with? Kazi Ishii. So these two guys, Juan Carlos and Kazi Ishii, do not like each other. They're going to cause a problem in your companions. Now make that a -1. Now he has no problem with Kazi Ishii, but he still likes 736. So he'll say positive things about Christina. All right. So while we're at Christina, we can go down again, her personality clash, personality clash. These are the two people that Christina doesn't like. This is the person that Christina does like. Okay, so we can change that to -1. Now Christina doesn't have a problem with anyone. Okay, you can change her face, you can change her clothes, you can change whatever you want, you can change her name. And so what I will eventually do, like you guys have seen me do in many of my playthroughs on YouTube, is I will change all of these companions to Inca names. I will make them look like Incas. I will outfit them like Incas so that I have my own Inca warband. And all of my warband are Incas, okay? I might keep Juan Carlos as a Spaniard, okay? That would be cool. We got like our Spaniard with the hat and the cuirass and everything, and he's hanging out with the Inca tribe. That's cool. I've been doing my homework on Inca mythology and Inca names, and there's all kinds of stuff, so I can find a whole list of ancient Inca names for these characters, etc., etc. That's how I found the name for my character, so it means jaguar. I just watched Apocalypto. It was great. So I've seen it before. I've seen it like 3 times. So in any event, guys, that is the often asked really quick fix on how you fix your party so that they all get along. Okay, now they are not going to bitch and moan about each other at all. So you've now taken that factor out of the game. Okay, the factor that you now have to worry about is proper rest and proper food and keeping these guys fighting and in battle to keep their morale up, because they can still take weary morale hits. Even though they're not having personality clashes, they can still get pissed off at you because you're getting slaughtered in battle, you're not keeping the troops fed, they haven't had rest in 2 days. Okay, so you can still have problems with your companions in that regard. Okay, but that's how I do that. Piece of cake. Okay, now a year ago, I blow through that whole thing and just do it in 10 minutes. These days it takes me a lot longer. But if you guys ever need help with that, you'd like me to change that for you, and I've done that for a few of you guys. You guys asked me, like, how do I do this, and how do I get a stable companion? And I've modded it for you. And so if you guys, ever need me to do something real minor for you like that, just ask and I'll try to get to it when I can, when I think of it. I still owe my friend Warband some graphics for his Twitch page. I'm working on it, brother. It won't take me long at all. In any event, you guys, I hope you tune in for a little bit of this Amazon, Rainforest, Inca, Mayan playthrough that I'm doing. It's something I've always wanted to do. So you guys, rock and roll. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys, this little quick instructional, and I mean this is nothing major, I hope it pointed you in the right direction. And if you ever have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. I'm not some super mod dev or something, but I know how to change most anything in the game for my own personal enjoyment. And so if I can change a few things for you so you can enjoy your game the way you want, just ask. You guys, please be safe, happy, healthy, and successful. Stay cool and hydrated out there if you are in a hot climate. It's a sauna out. That's like 100 outside. Be well, my friends, and thanks for tuning in, checking out this like simple little mod tutorial on just a few things. See you soon, you guys. Be well.